Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Third Banner Pod. I'm your host tonight, Ty. We got Connor. And then we have some special guests tonight. We got Trace, otherwise known as Cards Hive on Twitter. A lot of y'all probably know him from Twitter. And then we got Trent. Both Trace and Trent are good buddies of mine, and they're good, loyal listeners here to the Third Banner Pod. So we wanted to bring them on tonight for a special football edition. I know a lot of people in chat have been asking, when are you going to talk football? When are you going to talk football? We want to talk football. Well, here
Guess
it
what?
is.
We're under 100 days, baby.
We're under 100 days until kickoff, and we got some special good stuff tonight for you guys. So first off, Trace, how you feeling tonight? Welcome on to your virgin episode of the Third Banner Pod.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I think Trent's the better guest, though. I'm going to be real.
Oh, you guys, you're so cute. You're so cute. Trent, what are you thinking tonight? What's up, man?
You know, I'm just here so Trace would be here. As long as this goes better as last time I was here, it won't be nearly as funny or as entertaining.
Yeah, we're not gonna bring that up. Last time was something. So, but this is gonna be fun. I think I've been looking forward to this, and I know the chat definitely has. They've been talking football. Basketball has been the main talk right now recently because of all the roster movement. But now that the roster's finally done, it's time to talk some football. Connor, what are you thinking tonight, man? How's your night been going?
Yeah, we got a basketball roster in how many days? And it took Kenny how long?
No, you and Kenny, man. Give it up, Connor. Give it up.
It took Pat Kelsey less than 2 months to fulfill an entire roster.
Hey, what PK did was very impressive, man. Very impressive. I don't think anyone's ever going to really give him enough credit for putting together that roster in such a short amount of time, and it's a very good roster, I think. So,
and what's funny is he grabbed two guys that UK fans thought were locks to UK.
Yeah, but they didn't want them.
Yeah,
that's usually how it works.
I mean, I think Waterman fits the description pretty well of a current UK player. He's got the caucasity.
I give him the benefit on the down on Waterman, though, because, I mean, to be fair, they got like 20 big men.
Yeah, they did load up on some big guys. Hey, look, they got a nice little roster going, but I like what we got, man. I love what we got, and I love what PK's done so far. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking at chat here. We got Robbie. What's up, Robbie? Danny's back. Says, what's up, Card Nation? Anthony's one of our loyal listeners, man. Danny says, ready to hear some football talk. We're going to talk some football tonight, boys. We're going to talk some football. Couch House is in the building again, like always. So let's you want to get right into it, guys? Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start. And by the way, Trent and Trace both worked on this together. They put a lot of this stuff together and they did a lot of great work. So I think it's gonna be really cool to see. So if you wanna tip your hat to anybody, tip your hat to Trace and Trent for putting all this stuff together for us. Let's start with Tyler Shuck. So what we're going to do tonight, we have some slides presented. There's about 8 guys that are from the portal class of this year that Trace and Trent kind of talked about and figured that they're going to be 8 of the most important players on next year's roster, or 8 of their favorites. And it's obvious that you got to start with the quarterback, right? So we got Tyler Shuck. So I'll let Trent kind of take it away here.
Yeah, so I put these slides together, and it's basically just going to be like who the player is, like where they came from, how many years of the eligibility. There's going to be some PFF grades and stuff on there, but we don't really have to go through all that. It's just someone wants to pause, or if they're into that kind of stuff, it's there. But I paid for this subscription for a couple of months, so I figured I'd use it. But yeah, Tyler Shuck, he's 6'5", 225. He's got 1 year left. He's a 7th-year player. I think he's 25 years old. He's an old dude. He's from Chandler, Arizona, and he played 2 years at Texas Tech. And I think he was on Oregon's roster for 3 seasons. I might have done that wrong. I also did a lot of this like overnight or at work, so there's probably going to be some typos here and there. Sue me, whatever. But
I think it looks good, man. So we got Tyler Shuck up first. Let's go to the next slide here.
So like in each one, I've got their high school rankings because to some people that matters, So he was a 4-star and the 140th best player, 7th quarterback, and then I've got transfer rankings. So the highest ranking he has from all 4 sites, ESPN just did a top 75 because they're lazy, and he's the 25th overall player, which is higher than everywhere else that has him ranked, in the 9th quarterback, and the composite, which is the 1-3 they put together Rivals 24/7 and their own rankings together to make a composite. And he's 3-star, 354th. The main thing with him it's not a skill. It's not his ability. It's his health. He just hasn't played a lot. I think that's the biggest thing that kind of affects his ratings, but of course they don't really matter.
Yeah, the health is definitely the main concern, right? I mean, you've seen, and we have a little bit of highlights that I think we'll play here in a little bit, but that's been, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. The health is the biggest problem. His arm is fantastic. He has a lot of experience. He can make every throw that you want in a Jeff Brom system, right? It's can he stay healthy? He's been knocked out of the season, 3-4 seasons in a row now. I mean, collarbones and various different things. It's going to be the main thing. If he can stay healthy, he can make all the throws that you need. So,
while he was at Oregon, wasn't he tabbed as the next Justin Herbert?
Yep.
Well, for him, also his injuries are it's more of like, I'd be more concerned if he just had like repeated like ACL tears, meniscus tears, like stuff like that. But it's more like freak injuries that just happen, like especially when he's running the football. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you can just minimize that, I'm sure they can avoid injuries for the most part.
Which sucks too, because I think he's a very, very, very fluid runner. He runs like, I don't want to everyone saying he runs like Josh Allen. People are going to hear that and think it's a comp, but like my comp for him, honestly, which some people might not like, he reminds me of Will Levis. Now he probably has 20% less arm strength that Will Levis does, but I think he's probably got 10 or 15% more accuracy too. So you kind of give and take with that. Mm-hmm. Levis is in like the 99th percentile in arm strength. Nobody but maybe Anthony Richardson can throw like that dude, but I think.
I thought you were about to say NBA words. I was about to say we're not talking NBA tonight.
We're not going into that.
Listen, we could go all day on that.
Oh man, hey, listen, guys. I told him before we came on, we're keeping NBA talk at a minimum tonight. And anybody that's in the Discord and the group chats, they know what we're talking about.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. So, see, we already have Kyle. We have Kyle already saying, "Oh yes, we are." So,
in war.
Yeah, we'll but no, you guys make great points, and I think you'll kind of see that when you watch his highlights. So let's move on to the stats and PFF grades.
So here's just, he only played 4 games last year, and then it's just kind of a rough stats to throw out there. So he had 135 dropbacks, 110 pass attempts. He completed 67 of those for about a 61% completion percentage, 750 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and about 7 yards per attempt. And then running the ball, 23 rush attempts for about 220 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, and he had 2 fumbles. And like you get your PFF grades here, which I don't really understand a lot about PFF grades. I know obviously it's out of 100, and like if the square is blue, it's like very high in their ratings, and if it's red, you're pretty bad. So some people, they like that kind of stuff, so I threw it in there. And like his career stats, you can kind of see everything. I don't think he's ever started and finished the season. He's either missed the beginning and finished. So, like, I know he won the Fiesta Bowl, I think, at Oregon. Was it the Fiesta Bowl? He played in a big bowl game in Oregon.
It was a Rose Bowl out there.
It was one of them. And they won, didn't they? No, maybe not. He won a big bowl game at Texas Tech. I can't remember. Either way, he's never started and finished the season. So, like, in total, he's a 63% passer. He's thrown for 4,500 yards, 36 passing touchdowns and 17 interceptions. And then running the ball, he's had 10 touchdowns, but he's also had 10 fumbles and about 1,000 yards or 950 yards rushing. So, I mean, the numbers in total with 27 games, so like roughly 2 seasons if he played in full, they're pretty good. They don't tell the whole story. Obviously, the fumble numbers are concerning, but
Right.
I haven't watched a lot of that to know if he's a couple I've seen he just tries too hard to make a play. But I haven't
sure
seen
some
a lot
of them were when he broke his collarbone or broke his leg.
I believe so, yeah. And then I don't know if he's a Cam Ward fumbler where he just forgets how to hold a football, but I think it's pretty good stats. I mean, a lot of people, you look at Show, you look at his stats. I think when we all heard Shuck, I don't know why I keep saying Show. I'm trying to read it. Shuck. And when we heard about him originally, everyone was kind of disappointed because you look at the stats, you look at the games he's played, and nothing really pops off the screen. But then when you actually watch it and see what he can do, like there's not probably 25 quarterbacks in college football that can do the things that he does. He just has to be able to put it all together.
Yeah. 2 points that I had to make. One, when it comes to PFF grades, PFF grades are great if they support your narrative, and they're not if they don't. So
same thing with recruiting rankings. I like the only good site's the one that ranks them highest.
Yeah. So I know everyone's all over the table when it comes to PFF. It is what it is. And then you mentioned the ability that he has. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he's probably not even probably. I think he is the most talented quarterback that Jeff Brom has had in his head coaching career, just off a talent perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who the next one would be. David Blau. I mean,
O'Connell.
O'Connell threw some ducks, man. O'Connell had no arm strength.
What about Jack Palmer?
O'Connell threw some Malik Cunningham ducks.
Mike White. What are we doing here? Mike White.
That's Mike White at Western Kentucky.
Mike White.
Come on, Ty. Jets legend.
Mike
White.
Yeah.
Jets
Mike
legend,
White
Mike
was him.
Right. Mike White was him for a minute, but I'm talking strictly from a talent perspective.
Talent.
I would agree.
Shuck is strictly arm talent. Shuck is incredible.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So we have some Shuck highlights. Let's load those up.
Didn't
Connor,
Jeff have like the highest passing yard leader like in the country at Western? Was it Mike White?
I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and check, but I think White was there. Yeah. All right. So we got Tyler Shuck highlights. Let's get this full screen. So this is his running ability right out of the gate. Damn, he does look like a fluid runner.
He's big too. So
runs
He's
like a
legit
gazelle.
6'5", 6'6".
Now I'm starting to see why he breaks his collarbone all the time.
Because he puts his shoulder into him. Imagine that.
One thing I like about the way that he throws the ball is that a lot of times you got to have a quarterback like that has that it factor that will throw into windows that some people don't even see. They're going to have interceptions sometimes, but you can't be afraid to throw the ball, and that's something that I feel like he doesn't shed away from making attempts that a lot of people even wouldn't try.
You got to be confident in your
throws.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to go from a quarterback that can't hit a window to save his life to Tyler Shuck.
We're going from a game manager to someone who can win you games.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Like Jack Plummer, there's no way that he rolls out, sets his feet, and makes that throw.
Yeah, it's night and day really from a talent perspective. Jack was just more of it's my first for Brom's perspective, it's my first year here. I need to get someone who knows my playbook.
I really think Brom, like I know we won 10 games, but I feel like Brom had and he said it a lot too, where he was worried about letting people down. I think he was in his head too much last year. I think he got Plummer because he just wanted to play it safe. He didn't know how good we would be, but I think there's a lot of games you could tell in the way that he coached. It just felt like he was pressing almost. Like I think this year he's going to be just, dialed in, and there won't be those emotions.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's a lot.
You go ahead, Tom.
No. Go ahead, Trace. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Shuck, like in a game like Pittsburgh, where you see, Brom kind of lose confidence in the offense early on, and it's because he knows he doesn't have the talent there to like really blow the top off the defense. And with Shuck, though, you don't really ever feel like you're truly out of it. at least when he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
look, last year's team was really good, but I maybe this is the red tinted glasses. I don't know. I just feel like if you had a more talented quarterback who could actually do things like Tyler Shuck can, last year's team, I think, could have made a college football playoff.
For sure. I mean, if you look at the way that Florida State defended us on offense, they were daring us to throw the ball more than 7 or 8 yards down the field.
And Jack just couldn't do it.
And it didn't help that Jamari wasn't 100% that game either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I kind of hated the way that they played him when he was. I mean, because it's not like they're using him as a decoy when he had that big cast and everything on. They were throwing him the ball, and he had a lot of drops. Like, I know he wanted to be out there, but
well, the only reason he had surgery is because his trainer told him to have surgery. That's the only reason he did it.
So there you see some Tyler Shuck highlights. I mean, Trace, what do you got to add to Shuck's ability, and then we move on to the next guy.
I said if we get 10 games out of him, I think that's solid 10 wins right there. I mean, I think that with Braum, I mean, the way he's going to call the offense and not just with Shuck, I mean, the running backs that we have too, the run game, Braum showed that, you can't just play back. You got to play up because he will mess you up with the run game. And so I think that our offense overall is more balanced next year, not just because Shuck's a super talented quarterback, but we have a super deep running back room. Wide receivers should be better. Offensive line should be better. So
tight ends.
Yeah.
Tight end. We actually have tight ends this year.
Jamari's in shape now.
Yeah. So overall, I think Shuck's going to benefit, and as long as he's healthy, that is just the main thing. Like, I cannot stress that enough. If he's healthy, he's an NFL draft pick. If not, we're not even going to be talking about him in 6 months from now.
I mean, if he was healthy the last 4 years,
he wouldn't still be in college.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the talent's there, man. The talent's there. If he could just stay healthy.
Speaking of Plummer, have you guys seen the pics of him at Panthers training camp?
I did see that.
If he had that kind of aura, when he was playing here, we would have went undefeated.
He definitely got that aura for real.
He looks like Sam
He
Hartman.
shaved that porn
Sam
stash
Hartman
and grew out
got
that
to.
beard.
He looks like Sam Hartman when Sam Hartman got to Notre Dame.
Sam Hartman wishes.
I saw some Sam Hartman stuff. Is Sam Hartman with Carolina too, or no? Am I crazy?
Are they?
He signed as an undrafted free agent. I think he might have signed with.
I thought he went to the Commanders.
Carolina. No, he's on the Commanders.
Yeah.
Because I asked Tron specifically. I was like, "How do you feel about Sam Hartman in red?"
That's right. All right, so we're gonna go to Trace's guy. This is Trace's first guy, and this is a favorite of both Trace and Trent. So they had to fight over this one. So this is Thor Griffith. Let me get our stuff looking right here.
Hey, I was very close to adding another name to this list. Brandon Lane, I was very close.
Oh, Brandon Lane.
I was very close.
Rip. R.I.P. Brandon Lane. I don't know what the hell happened there.
He said that his commitment was shut down. Then he went on a visit to Wisconsin, and we told him, thanks, but no thanks. Have fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, I saw
that's Quan Lau.
I saw the rumors and things that was going on with that, and I just know Brom's sick of this shit. And he just told him to get the hell out and move on.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like dude was just
the Scott Reynolds video
and trying to get the most money, which one hand he can't blame him. But
next year, he might just say to hell with the.
I think we'll talk about that later because while I'm very impressed with the class that he put together portal wise this year, he had a lot of issues with some guys, and I have a feeling that's probably going to change his thought process.
Yeah, I think it'd be in the first couple of years is the biggest reason for it.
We're going to be throwing bags at 5 stars instead of 5 stars out of the portal.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later. Let's get into Thor. So, Trace, this is all you. Take it away, man.
Yeah, so Thor, he's been at Harvard for 4 years. He's been an absolute force in the Ivy League. I can't say who he reminds me of because they will suspend me. They'll never let me on the show again. But he's got amazing hands, super quick, super athletic. I think he's I think he could be a day 2 pick. He could work his way into that this year, especially being in the ACC. But yeah, once you see all of his accolades, it just kind of speaks for itself on what kind of player he is. And he also opened up a lot of it. You'll see it on the highlights. He opened up a lot of opportunities across that whole defensive line. He can play anywhere on the defensive line. He's not just a defensive tackle. He's legit. He can play defensive end. That's how athletic he is. So
320, Jesus.
So Trace, for the viewers who don't really know, like you mentioned, he has great hands. What does that allow him to do on the defensive line?
So,
like, what is that?
So yeah, usually when you hear somebody say they have great hands, you're talking about like a wide receiver, even like a defensive back. But when you're talking about like a defensive lineman, his hands are so like quick, and he's got a lot of punch in his hands that he's really able to get off offensive linemen quick. Like as soon as an offensive lineman touches him or he's able to get his hand, he's gone. He's out the way. He's on his ass. He's getting to the quarterback.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, he's able to use his hands, and like I said, he's also quick with his feet. He's just a great athlete.
Okay.
Yeah, and
transfer rankings here.
Going on to that, like as an offensive lineman, the thing I want to do when I'm going up against a defensive lineman, I want to get my hands in your chest. You know, I want to take advantage of my reach and keep you from getting off, getting a move off on me. And his hands are so fast and he's so strong behind it that even if I do get my hands near him, even if he's not shedding the block completely, even if I get hands on, he's so strong that he can rip and replace and get my hands off and make his move. And he's a guy like Gelati, for example. He's all power. There's a reason why people want him to play a 3-tech in the NFL and not a defensive end. He doesn't have finesse. He doesn't have those outside moves. You see someone like a TJ Watt that has. I know it's an extreme example, but a guy like Thor, he can play nose. He can play the 3. He can play out at a 4. I don't think he can play like a 5 or a 7 or anything. But still, he can go out against an offensive tackle here and there, and win with a variety of different moves. He's extremely athletic for his size. He's extremely strong. It's not enough good things you can say about it. And Trace, I'll say it, the player that Trace comps him to, not that he's a 1-for-1, but the way that he plays, it's very Aaron Donald-like because he's not a giant person when you look at him, but he moves so well and he's so strong and he's got such a great base.
Like, look at his arm in that picture. His arm is
he looks like a freak in that picture
either.
Yeah.
If he gets his hands on you, you're done. You're cooked.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is crazy when you look at his rankings. So ESPN, and I'm with you, Trent, like ESPN rankings wise is so lazy anymore, but I thought that was pretty cool. They had him as the number 17 overall player. Right. It's so crazy that you look at his high school ranking, just not ranked, class of 2020. Like, how did he fall through the cracks like that?
I'm sure COVID had a role in that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Definitely. But I mean, like I said, you look at the accolades, man. That just speaks. I mean, it's the Ivy League, but don't get me wrong. There's NFL talent that comes out of the Ivy League every single year.
Oh, there was another defensive tackle out of the Ivy League just this year. I think he ended up at Florida. Yeah, and he's damn good too.
We got an offensive tackle from the Ivy League.
He's from Penn, right? Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
Well, you see the accolades: FCS All-American, second team, 2023, Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he comes with a lot of trophies and a lot of awards, man. And I'm excited to see him play.
And a Harvard degree.
Trace was saying that he could be a 2nd or 3rd round pick this year. I think he had a 4th round draft grade this year, and he came back to school.
Wow.
Yeah,
I read that from a Patriots reporter.
He's legit. I can't stress enough. I think there's an argument to where he's the best player on the roster. I mean, it's got to be either him or Riley or one of those guys, but I definitely think he has an argument.
I was going to ask that. Definitely this has to be the crown jewel of the transfer portal class, right?
For me, it is.
I think we just went over the top 2 out of importance or skill.
Yeah, this is how you beat the best teams, like the Blue Bloods, the SEC teams. This is how you beat them. You stack up on the trenches, and you don't just stack up on the trenches with bodies. You stack up on the trenches with athletes and guys who have size. And I mean, I don't think there's very many offensive linemen in the SEC or Big Ten that are standing in front of this dude. I really don't.
Okay.
I mean, that's been a common complaint of ours playing Kentucky for years is that they were always bigger on the line. And I think the last 2 years, like even Sats last year, they weren't. Last year, we lost that game. It was not on the line of scrimmage, even though they have a top 10 pick on their D-line.
Shit, he might go top 5.
He's nasty. I mean, he wears blue, but he is fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Anyway. And if you look at his PFF grades down here, what I was talking about, like the blue is like elite. Look at all that blue on there. Like that's insane.
Yeah, usually we hate blue, but today we love it.
Like him being 60%, is that 60% in coverage? Like that's nuts.
Yeah,
he's
like
an athlete. He is
a thing that I like on PFF is that they have his snap alignment on there. So he played 366 snaps in the B gap, played 137 in the A gap, and he played 17 outside, which isn't a lot, but he could do that more on an offensive line like ours that doesn't need him inside all the time. We have a lot of options. I think we can move him around a lot. We can move Ashton around a lot. Like imagine on a 4th down, I wish we could say Barron was in there, but on a 4th down, you could have Tell, you can have him, you could have Ashton, you can have Green on the outside. Like
you can load them up all on one side.
Yes. Yep.
I know Ross is huge on Green. Ross loves Green.
There's not a lot of players on
Ross
this
is
roster
in
that
the
have
air.
more potential than Green.
Yeah. And shout out to Ross. I think he's heading to Vegas for his birthday this weekend. So
surprise!
Hopefully Ross has a good weekend in Vegas. So let's get into the highlights for Thor. I'll get this going here.
And a lot of what Thor's going to do for us next year won't even show up on the stat sheet either.
Like, for sure.
Other dudes like Ashton and Green, like they're going to get sacks because of this dude.
In the middle.
So Thor is number 50 for everyone that's looking. He's there in the middle.
I hate these highlights that don't highlight the players beforehand.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. But if you're looking in the middle, like defensive tackle,
he clogs the hole, and then everybody
look
comes
where
around.
the people stop moving. Where people stop moving, that's where he is.
Yep.
Whoops.
You're right there.
You're done, buddy.
Damn, that poor lineman is just getting nowhere.
He just got mauled.
Like, these guys are cooked standing in front of him.
They can't move him. That's what I'm noticing. Is
he just pushed that center right into the play.
That's what I'm saying. If you have trouble finding Thor in the play, just look where the people are standing completely still.
He's a guy that I think
you can't move him off his base.
No. And the NFL, he could even play, like, obviously he'll probably be a nose or a 3, but, like, I could even see on certain teams that he could be like a 3-4 defensive end.
Look at this play right here. This is impressive.
Pittsburgh.
Watch him hold the center off, shake him off, take the running back. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's legit. I mean, I might have to get a jersey. I'm not even gonna lie.
We getting a Thor jersey?
I might have to.
You gonna throw him some NIL money?
The name fits too. I think also like he's just so strong. I think he bench pressed 225 like 44 times. That's ridiculous. That's insane.
And his arms don't seem like it doesn't seem like he's got T-Rex arms. Usually when somebody reps that much on 225, they got like the T-Rex arms.
I'm like 6'1" and I have like a 6'7" wingspan. I hated bench press for that reason. And I had dudes on my team that were little baby arms and they're just
oh yeah.
I hated that. No, he's definitely he's a full package for sure.
Man, I'm impressed. I'm excited to watch him play, man.
Oh yeah.
I
think you got to pencil him in day one starter.
For sure.
Imagine him on one side with Ashton, and then you got to figure out who you're going to double team.
And you have Tell next.
You just can't double team. You're just screwed.
No, I mean
that your tight end
the 4 linemen we're going to have out there
are face a little bit, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
If we would have kept Brandon Lane, that would have been nasty.
I mean, I like Tell and Dawson. I think Dawson's underrated. I think Dawson really is almost as good as Tell. He got hurt last year, and that hurt a lot of his momentum.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up on Thor. Connor, what are your thoughts? And Trent, what are your thoughts?
Don't sleep on the FCS, baby.
I think he's minimum a top 5 player on the team next year. All things go right. I think he got on campus 3 weeks ago or so.
He got his Harvard degree. That means he's smart.
Yeah, and a lot of people were concerned that he wasn't going to be here in the last window, and it's like, no, he definitely just wants his Harvard degree. Like,
I mean, can you blame him? Like,
no.
if I can graduate from Harvard, I'm definitely getting a Harvard undergrad.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For those that listen, they know Macro. He's always asking about the 4 and 5 star defensive lineman. Macro, this one's for you, bud.
What's the soundbite? 5 star. 5 star.
5 star. Mike says, about time Trent's sexy face on my TV. All right, Mike.
Stop it. I'm not crying myself to sleep tonight. Thanks, Mike.
Don't pump him up too much.
Hey, Mike's the guy.
Mike is the guy. Mike's one of our good listeners, so.
Yeah,
his brother's a huge UK fan.
You're dead.
Yeah. Yep. So, hey, that wraps up Thor Griffith. That was really cool. Really cool. Let's move on to Ja'Cory Brooks. How do we get him up here?
I'll pull up my notes.
All right. I'm going to figure it out. There we go. All right.
All right.
We got Ja'Cory Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks is a 6'3", 195-pound wide receiver from Brayton. He's also Miami. He was high school teammates with Corey Thornton. I think it was a year apart in their age. He played 3 years at Alabama. Last year, he only played in 6 games. He only had 3 catches. He was injured a bit, and also he suffered greatly from the loss of I just blanked on his name.
Bryce Young.
Him and Bryce Young had a legitimate connection for 2 years. He was one of his favorite targets, and last year, Milroe isn't the best passing quarterback anyway, but last year between the injuries and the quarterback change, it buried him a bit in the depth chart. But I'm excited for him. I think he will probably be our 3rd wide receiver, somewhere behind Bell and Lacey. Bell's my favorite. I will stick behind Bell. I've been doing it.
Yeah,
for 2 years now.
Your Bell stuff.
Listen. He's not AJ Brown, but that's my comp as a thicker wide receiver who can still run. Like, as big as Bell is, he shouldn't be as fast as he is. He got wasted year 1 with Sat, who should have just let him redshirt, but instead threw him out there and then didn't throw him the ball. And then last year, I think he had opportunities to show what he could do, like that big catch against Miami. Anyway, about Brooks, he's a possession wide receiver. He's not. I take that back. He doesn't have top end speed. I think his 40 time was around 4.6, 4.65. He's not going to beat you with speed, but he's a great deep ball wide receiver. He has really good hands. He doesn't catch with his chest. He catches with his hands. He breaks tackles fairly well. I think he's a guy who's not going to lead us in passing yards, but he could lead us in touchdowns. He's the kind of jump ball wide receiver that we've been missing. I'm lost in my notes. Hang on.
He's got a great trainer in Atlanta.
Oh, does he? He's not a bad blocker either. I think his PFF blocking grades were okay. And he's got really good hands on like to release off of DBs and get down there and get open for deep balls. He's beat you with his routes and with his hands. Like I said, he's not a speedy wide receiver. Gotcha. He actually came here hurt as well. I believe he missed spring.
He messed up his shoulder or something like that.
Trying to take it easy on him too so he can be ready. But he's kind of polarizing because he had such a bad year. Was it just Bryce Young? But yeah, I think he had 8 touchdowns.
You have the stats on the next slide, and we're going to get to that in a second. Macro, brother, you need to go back a few minutes because we just did Thor Griffith, and that was all for you, brother. I'm serious. I even gave you a shout out. When you rewatch, go back a few minutes and check out the Thor Griffith stuff. You're going to love that. You're going to love it. So, all right, let's move on to Ja'Cory Brooks, slide number 2.
So as a transfer, 247 had him ranked the highest because 24/7 is all about what school did you go to and what were you ranked in high school. They're the latest.
So imagine that.
24/7 is the best high school ranking site, I think. They do a lot with high school rankings, but their transfer rankings they're so ass. I hate them. They rank you based on where you played. Ja'Cory Brooks had 3 catches for 30 fucking yards last year, and they had him as a high 4-star. Like it's so goofy. But anyway, we like him because they ranked him higher. So he was a 4-star on their side. Every other side had him as a high 3-star. Then out of high school, he was a 5-star wide receiver, the 27th overall player, and the 2nd wide receiver in the country. And I think at one point he was committed to Miami before he flipped to Alabama. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like
so he has he has the same trainer that Jamari Thrash has.
We understand, people. Listen. I didn't know if anyone who's listening knew this, but Connor knows Brian Hudson.
Okay,
they know each other.
Okay.
I wanted to kneel before him.
No, but that wide receiver factory down there is something that helps us.
It's legit. I mean, you were on that early.
Like that. What happens is he's actually coaching high school football now too. So we might have a Langston Hughes connection. Here soon. High School of Air Nolan. Just throwing that one out there.
Gotcha.
But I don't know that this guy, he was a trainer wasn't he for Brooks, for Thrash? Was he a trainer for Lacey?
Callaway, Lacey, all of the above. Almost all of the wide receiver transfers that we've gotten have come from that.
So you're saying he puts out some good players?
Correct. Xavier Leggett also trains with him.
Okay. So let's get into the PFF and stats here. So you could kind of see like 2022, like you were saying, those 8 touchdowns with Bryce had a legit connection there that last year only played in 3 games.
Man, I got that wrong actually. I thought one site said he played in 3 games. PFF said he played in 6, but either way, he was hurt a lot. He didn't play a lot, and he didn't get the ball thrown to him a lot. And I think, again, besides the injuries, I think a lot of that's on Milroe too. He struggled as a passer.
So it doesn't matter.
Milroe's he's like a Malik Cunningham with a Supreme logo on his side.
With better athletes around him.
A little more VC to spend is what you're saying. So
yeah, all
right. Let's get into Ja'Cory Brooks highlights. Let me get this.
I've kind of gone over the positives of Brooks. The negatives I have is, like I said, he doesn't have elite speed. Things that I've read say that he's not great against zone coverage, but again, I haven't really deep dive into what he does as far as that goes.
But the speed will make up with Lacey on the other side.
Yeah.
That first play is with Bryce at quarterback, so
yeah, I think
assume a lot of them are going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be cut. But
so that's Ja'Cory Brooks.
That's why the Panthers only won 2 games this year.
I wouldn't say that's why. I'm not going to blame Bryce Young, but
so Trace, give your thoughts while you wrap up on Ja'Cory Brooks.
Well, yeah, Ja'Cory Brooks, it's mainly just about being healthy. He's going to have to get a lot of time in with Shuck. They're going to have to work out a lot this summer together and make sure that, they're on the same page with a lot – because it seems like a lot of the big plays that Ja'Cory made was almost like the defense made a mistake or there's some kind of miscommunication somewhere, and him and his quarterback are on the same exact page. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to have to kind of try to get that chemistry with Shuck that he had with Young if he wants to see the same success, which, I mean, it's definitely possible. He's got the talent, obviously. Like Trent said, he's not a burner, but he can play outside for sure. If you can win on the outside in the SEC, you can win on the outside in the ACC. I mean, I think that's pretty fair. So, overall, he's probably going to be. I would say he ends up finishing above Bell. I love Bell, but I think he finishes above Bell in reception yards and receptions overall.
Okay. Yeah, that quarterback-wide receiver relationship is very important, and I think it shows with Ja'Cory that when he had Bryce Young, he was awesome. They had a great relationship. Like you said before, it just seemed like they were on the same page. A lot of those plays kind of seems like they just know where to be at the right time. So hopefully with Shuck, he has similar production like that. So.
And I get that he got hurt this year, but also his production was going to go down from, having the number 1 draft pick to Jalen Milrow, who can barely throw the damn ball.
Well, hey, listen, Milrow is an incredible athlete. I saw some clips that they're working on him with this passing, but yeah, last year it was rough. It was rough. So, Trace, I believe you're up here with Mark Redmond.
Yeah, so Mark is probably going to be tight end 1 this year. I would say 100% sure he's going to be, but he did show up a little late. So I think he just got into town not long ago, like Thor. So he's going to have to do a little bit of catching up on the playbook. It says 2 years of eligibility. I think he's only going to use 1. He's already spent 2 years at Washington, spent 2 years at San Diego State. He's a legit NFL prospect. You see 6'6", 255, so you don't really see too many guys built like that walking around. He's pretty solid blocker. I wouldn't say he's he's not a Gronk where he's just out there just mauling outside linebackers, but he's going to do his part in the run game. He's great up the seam, really, really good athlete. So, yeah. He spent a lot of time in Washington hurt, I believe.
Yeah,
So
I think it's why I put 2 years on there because I believe he has a COVID year, and I think that I don't think he's going to be here for 2 years, but I think he probably could apply for a medical for one of those Washington years. I think I was debating to put 2 years, but I think he could have 2.
Yeah, and so that might be a slight concern, I guess, if you want to say like health. If he has like any red flags, like I said, he's not the best blocker at tight end, but you don't need to be the best blocker at tight end in Brom's offense anyways. So I think he's going to be, I wouldn't say like a fan favorite, but fans are definitely going to know his name by the end of the year.
Gotcha.
Jamari Thrash can't block his soul, and he still plays in Brom's offense.
Oh, he's
You're looking at the transfer rankings. Let's see. You said Rivals had the highest ranking on him at 113th nationally, 5th best tight end. Look at his high school rankings. You see number 300 at a 3-star in the class of 2020. Okay. Second team Mountain West in the last year. First team Mountain West in 2022. And it looks like he's got all the skills. And the size is the main thing.
He's a legit 6'6". It gives us an actual target in the red zone.
Oh yeah, him and Jalil Skinner. If you get both those guys within the 20-yard line, it's gonna be hell for a defense because there's no way you're gonna have linebackers or safeties that can keep up with that kind of length and athleticism.
Because isn't Skinner a legit 6'5" too?
Yes. Like these dudes they're like twin towers out there, and Jamari Johnson's 6'4", 6'5".
So, Trace, let me ask you this because for me, we're going to go back a little bit. I wanted Brom here so much. I remember back in the last year he was at Purdue and Sats last year and everything. I know in our group chat we all watched Purdue a lot just to compare. But one thing that I loved that Brom did at Purdue was Payne Durham and how he used Payne Durham. How does he kind of compare to that? Like that's what I remember out of the Brom offenses with tight ends. Like Payne Durham was freaking awesome.
Yeah. So I would say Redmond is more of a traditional tight end than like a Payne Durham was or Bryson Hopkins was, because he can get his hand in the dirt. Like he's not slouched when it comes to blocking. I just say he's not Gronkowski because I don't want people coming in thinking he's going to just completely seal off the edge and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good blocker. He's a traditional tight end in the sense of the position. But as far as like a Payne Durham or a Bryson Hopkins, I wouldn't say he's like a one-of-one comparison. I really wouldn't expect him to put up the receiving numbers they did. I think he's going to put up really good receiving numbers. I definitely think he's going to be in a position to get drafted. But if you're kind of expecting him to be as high as the number 2 guy on the receiving chart, I don't know if that's quite realistic, just because I think that's also a testament to how good our wide receivers are that Brom has managed to bring in. But Redmond is definitely what we were missing last year. That's for sure. I mean, Redmond probably adds a win to last year.
Okay.
He catches the ball against Florida State in the ACC title game.
Yes, like that. A game like that where like you need somebody to make a couple big plays up the seam because your offense is kind of stagnant. You can't really get nowhere, and you need a big play to shift them. He's going to be the guy. That's why I said fans are going to know who he is for sure because he's going to make some big third down conversions. He's going to make a couple big red zone touchdowns, I'm sure, that are going to either seal the game or, shift the game in our favor.
He's the guy that's going to go on the 6-yard curl, sit at the first down marker, and then gain 2 more yards dragging people.
Yeah, he's going to be a security blanket for Shuck for sure.
Gotcha. Now, we don't have any highlights for Redmond. Just number one, for the sake of time, like we don't want to be here for 4 hours looking at highlights of everybody. But Trace, give me like an idea in Brahms' offense. What kind of route combinations you see him running? What is his specialty? Like, what do you think we're going to be like? Okay, that's the Redmond staple. We know what to expect.
So, like what Connor said, kind of. It's not like specific routes that he runs. He's almost like he'll find a soft spot in the zone, or like he'll just bust up the seam, and the linebacker or safety, whoever's covering him, can't keep up with him because he's a good athlete, and like I said, he's a true 6'6". So he's not really a great route runner in the same sense as a Payne Durham or Bryson Hopkins was at the tight end position under Braum. He's more like Connor said, he's going to know where the sticks is at all times. Braum's probably going to say, hey, get out about 8 yards, then stop here. And no matter what, like, I don't care what defender's there, anything like that. He's going to be out there, and he's going to be a security blanket.
My comp would be Jason Witten for Tony Romo.
Yes, that's a very good comp. He's not the blocker Jason Witten.
Like, obviously, yeah. But what Jason Witten did.
Blanket goes, yeah. It's every time the ball touches his hands, it's going to be a first down.
Oh, we have a special guest with Trent.
We got a special guest, another one. If it couldn't get any better, we got more special guests tonight. We got Trent with this.
It's my boy Theo.
This is Theo. Say hey.
Future offensive lineman, except his mom's 5 foot tall, so he'd probably be 5'4".
So we'll move on from Mark Redmond.
Taller than Connor.
Redmond reminds me of, I can't think of his name now that I'm trying to say it. Who was the Cowboys tight end?
That's who I just said, was Jason Witten.
Not Witten, last year.
Ferguson.
Ferguson's not a super athletic person, but he's the 6'5", 6'6", thick, runs good routes, and has good hands.
He's a security blanket. He's going to be – it's going to be first downs galore with him. He's going to have a bunch of red zone – I shouldn't say a bunch of red zone touchdowns. He's not going to be Marshawn Ford in that regard.
Okay.
But,
hey, he might run that route, though.
Redmond's someone that if Show gets hurt and we have to have a backup quarterback, like if Pierce has to go out there and Pierce isn't confident in his deep ball, if Pierce is struggling, Redmond's going to be there across the middle every time.
Mark Redmond might be averaging 150 yards a game if Pierce is our quarterback.
Yeah, Redmond and then Turner out of the backfield, and they're going to love some Pierce Clarkson.
If I was playing quarterback, that's what I'd be looking for every time.
So let's move on to Pete Nigra, the center, transferred out of Northern Illinois. I believe, Trent, this is all you.
Yeah, so Pete, he's 6'4", 295-ish. He's put on some pounds, he's got good height, obviously, but he definitely needs to add some weight to play O-line in the ACC, which hopefully he has. I agree. He spent 3 years in Northern Illinois. Redshirted his first year. Started at center both his redshirt freshman and sophomore year. And he's from Indiana.
So we'll move on to the rankings for Pete. Class of 21 in high school. He's a 3-star. Damn, 2000. That's crazy how some of these guys fall through the cracks. They go to these smaller schools. They play their way up, and now they're here on the big stage. It's kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, I think Northern Illinois was one of his only Division I offers.
Yes. Move on to.
While we do this.
We'll move on to the stats and PFF grades for Pete.
Look at that.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Now he's going to play center, right? He's going to play center.
Yes.
And when
You're
you look
on
at his
mute,
size,
Trey.
those grades make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like
They look good, man.
The pass block looks really good.
Yeah.
Like
His size,
2023.
it makes
All right. Hey, listen, Trent, you're on mute, brother. So let's just unmute you. Can't unmute.
Listen,
You're on mute. So go ahead and say what you're going to say.
he's a better pass blocker than he is run blocker. He does a little bit more Cole Bentley style run blocking where he just kind of gets in the way, which is all you really have to do. But he's not going to maul anybody. He's just going to try to put his body between the defender and the ball carrier.
Cole Bentley didn't block a soul.
That's all you can ask for. But Cole regressed. Cole regressed every year. He started.
He
off so
agrees
good
with
as
me.
freshman.
Cole Bentley was not very good.
Yeah, we don't. You're upsetting him. I think he might be a Cole Bentley fan.
So there's Pete Nigra. We don't have no highlights for offensive linemen because they're not that great to watch. Let's just be honest.
Hey, chill out.
I'm
Calm it
just
down.
being honest that
Calm it
hey,
down.
listen, sometimes I appreciate a little O-line highlights, but it's
You're gonna
not
hurt
for
Trent's
everyone.
feelings, and he's not going to come back.
Well, Trent right
Stop
now,
attacking me.
I was about to say Trent right now is already fighting for his life. So
But the thing with Pete, their first game last year was against Boston College, obviously like a similar opponent that I could watch and see how he played. Like the first 6 plays of the game basically shows everything, the good and bad. So play number 1, he gets blown up from a pretty big nose guard because he's light. Like I said, if he's only 290, 295, he'd do well to get up to about 315 or so.
I think Hudson played at 310, 320.
Yeah, and Hudson was a legit 6'5". The good thing is, as good as Hudson was last year, is he was hurt. He played hurt. You could tell he was playing hurt.
He
So
played hurt from the Boston College game on.
Yeah, we need to replace that, but a solid center is all that we need to not regress, I guess is the words that I'm looking for. And I think he can be that. I think he's already running. He's definitely running with the ones already.
I would rather have him start than Madden Sanker.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the backup center this year is going to be Vic Cutler.
He
Vic
was
is
the
another
one that was
transfer.
rumored to transfer, then didn't.
Yeah, something happened there. So he played a few years at Louisiana Monroe, and then he played last year at Ohio State. He was Ohio State's backup center last year. He's like a utility guy. He's not going to wow you, but I would guess he's going to be our backup center. And then you got Austin Collins, who's more of a guard but can play center. But I would be shocked if Niger's not the starting center.
Gotcha. And it's safe to say that you talked about like his size and weight. Like they're probably going to try to put a little more weight on him to get him for the ACC. Get him ready for ACC play.
And he's going to have an NFL guard next to him on one side with Gonzalez. So
and then Renato
is sure he's going to help him out. And then the next guard will be either Renato or Lance Robinson, or maybe even Mendoza. I think I like him more guard than tackle.
Good God. Could you imagine just put Pierce behind Mendoza at guard?
He's not going to be able to throw it in.
Have issues.
So let's okay. Actually, you know what, Trace? Give me your final thoughts as we wrap up Pete Nigra.
Oh, so I said, he is a little small, but he's definitely going to be eating a lot better here than he was at Northern Illinois. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope so, with as much money as we got coming in. But but that's just the big thing with him, is just making sure he's up to ACC size. And because the pass blocking is so huge, because we really need to keep Shuck healthy. So as long as Shuck is healthy, I'm happy with Pete. That's all. As long as he keeps him upright, I'm happy. He doesn't have to be as good as Hudson was. Just keep Shuck on his feet, and don't make him fumble the ball.
I like it.
And don't make him have to get out of the pocket.
He also watched highlights from him his redshirt freshman year. I think he put on a good 20 pounds between the 2 years. So if he could do something similar to that this year, that would be ideal.
Yep. All right, Trace, you're back up with Corey Thornton.
All right, so obviously we had to have somebody replace Jarvis Brownlee in the secondary. And luckily we didn't have to have somebody replace Quincy Riley too. We were fortunate enough to have him back, but somebody had to replace Brownlee, and Brownlee actually had a great year last year. I know his first year here was up and down, but he was solid last year, and so we're gonna have to try to replace that in some way. And I think it's going to be more of a group effort, but a lot of it's going to come from this guy right here. He's got a very similar build to Jarvis Brownlee, very similar play style. I don't think he's quite as fast as Brownlee, but I think his arms are a little bit longer. So I think he is not quite as physical, but I think I don't his hips aren't as good, but I think his feet are a little better.
Okay.
So, because Brownlee has amazing hips. Pause.
And so does Connor now.
Yeah,
Connor's getting a little.
Connor has a hip.
Fancy over there talking about hips.
I'm gonna hop off for 2 seconds. I'll be back. I will say,
take your time.
He's so underrated. Yes, I know he had his problems his first year, especially his main issue was the Florida State game because who the fuck's going to guard Johnny Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
6'6",
Brownlee was one of the best slot corners in football last year. Thornton is not a slot corner; he's strictly an outside guy, I think. But
that's where Holloway's going to come in.
Yeah. Holloway is going to be good, and so Taz Nicholson is a very good slot corner too.
Yeah.
A lot of guys in this transfer class we could have talked about today. But I do like Thornton. Thornton, if you guys remember the UCF game that we played at UCF, where I don't know how the fuck we won that game on the Brownlee interception that we should have lost that game for sure. He had the big controversial not targeting call on Ford when Ford caught the ball and then he came in and put his helmet right on the football. People thought he hit him in the head, but he put his helmet right on the football and knocked it out. And it wasn't a catch. He's got good ball skills. He's not going to be elite, but I think he's easily lining up to be the second corner for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's like I said, we're not going to be able to completely replace Brownlee, what he did for us last year, because there was just so much he did for that defense. But Thornton is definitely going to make up a big part of it, especially on the outside. Like I said, the length is definitely there. He's got NFL length. I'm not quite sure about the speed, especially long end speed. He's obviously got long strides, but I don't think the speed is quite there, which it doesn't really have to be at this level. You can get away with being an outside corner and running a 4.6 at this level, especially if you're physical. So that's not a huge
if you're physical at the point of attack, it won't matter.
Yeah. It's not a big concern at all. I wouldn't say he's like super versatile. So you're not going to see Thornton lining up at safety. You're not going to see him lining up all over the field. He's going to be on the outside, but he's a solid player. I think he's going to make some pretty good plays. I don't think he's going to be a ball hawk like Riley, but he's going to have a pretty good amount of pass deflections. I think he's going to be a solid tackler. He's going to play good in run support. So I don't think we're going to have any gripes with Thornton this coming season.
Okay. And you look at the kind of the transfer rankings. 0-3 had him as the 132nd overall in the
0-3.
0-3, on-3, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't even matter. It's the same shit. So they have him as a 4-star, 18th best corner. Another guy that like in high school just fell through the cracks, man. It's kind of crazy to see. So class of 2020, like right in the 1600s, 62nd best DB. But hey, we'll take it. We'll definitely take it. And I'm excited to watch Thornton play. Like I love a good corner play. Like it's something that I think is a lost art in football. I'm a Jets fan. Everybody knows that. Like I love watching Sauce Gardner play football. It's awesome to watch.
Who's a Jets fan? Ugh.
Okay.
Hey, you could have had the vice president as your quarterback.
Jets, there's nothing wrong with being a Jets fan.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll stick up for the Jets on this one. There's nothing wrong with being a Jets fan.
My uncle's a Bengals fan.
Or
this is why we brought Trace on. This is why.
My uncle's a Jets fan and my dad's a Giants fan. So
you're looking at the PFF grades for Corey Thornton. So what is PRSH? Tell me.
Is that pass rush?
That's got to be pass rush, right?
Yeah.
2021 pass rush in the 90s. How many times did he rush? Like 4 times?
Damn, that is kind of wild.
It had to be like 3 or 4 times tops.
But like his whole 2021 season is really good.
But yeah, you see, like for the most part, he's a great tackler. Obviously, this past year he had a little bit of a drop off, but for the most part, I mean, you're not going to see much better tackling grades for a corner. Let's see, like I said, also run defense in general. He's had solid grades all 4 years. So, you know, he's not going to do everything that Brownlee did, but he's going to replace enough to where Holloway and Nicholson can pick up on the rest.
Gotcha.
We don't
have as long as we don't regress. I don't think anybody is going to complain if we just continually win 10 games.
Oh, for sure.
We don't have that.
I definitely won't.
We don't have that like lockdown guy on the other side of Quincy, but like if we can get Thornton, Tez, and then the other guy Holloway. If all 3 of them can contribute together at the same rate as Jarvis did, I think we'd be fine.
And then you got Aaron Williams too, who he's going to be.
Played at all.
Yeah, he hasn't played at all, but from everything we've heard, I mean, he's a legit 6'2". He's over 190 now, I think is what I heard. And, you know, he's been playing really, really good. So everybody's been high on Aaron Williams since high school. He can obviously – there's a good chance he can come in and contribute as well. But like I said, I think Thornton is going to be like pretty much when you know they're going to run the football and it's obvious, you're going to have Thornton out there for sure because you can never have enough DBs that tackle the rusher, aren't scared to get their nose in there. And that's definitely what Thornton is. He's physical.
Gotcha.
We're legit 5 deep at corner.
I'm going to say corner, like it seems like we have really good depth, right?
Like obviously Riley's a top 5 corner in the country. You know, I think that's not unfair to say. And behind them, like Thornton, Holloway, he's had a lot of praise in spring. I think Aaron Williams is probably going to be the best of the California connection, you know, Cali to the Ville.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree there. Yep. That's saying a lot when a guy like Jamari Johnson could be like an NFL player one day if he can put it all together. That's going to take a lot, but Pierce could be a very good college quarterback, I think.
Yeah.
And then
I think his height will hurt him in the NFL.
Yeah,
but
for sure. Yeah, what is he, like 5'6", 5'7"?
It's like having Tutu back there.
Yeah. So let's move on to Monroe Mills, and I think this is Trent.
Yeah.
Yep.
People aren't going to like when I say this. I like offensive line a lot. I played offensive line, you know, obese, you know. That's all I could do.
Well, that's why I brought you in here for the O-line analysis.
Mills could be the best left tackle to wear a Louisville uniform since I've been watching football.
Which was last year, so that's going to be.
Yeah, well, it's years ago, you know. So I know people immediately are going to be like, Mekhi Becton. Look, Becton was a physical fucking freak.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the best. You're a Jets fan. You've seen it. He was not the best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He took advantage of being a big, bad motherfucker.
Yep.
With super long arms and very strong. You get your hand. He got his hands on, and it was night-night. It was game over.
He was like Cole Bentley. You just got in your way.
An absolute physical specimen and freak, but that's how he won. He didn't win with technique. Yeah.
He did not have good feet. He did not have good technique. He did not have a good lower base. He just got by on being a big, bad motherfucker. And what did he end up going?
11th overall.
Yeah, 11th or 12th. Yeah, I can't remember.
So
but
being a big, bad dude pays off. But, you know, when it comes to what you're trying to say is Monroe Mills has all of the skills and everything, the technique that you need to be a great left tackle.
He's a very good to above average run blocker and a fucking amazing pass blocker. He's got really good feet, good long arms, good hands. He's very good. I don't want to overrate him, but I don't want to undersell it either. He's very good.
Like when I saw the thought that we could get Tyler Shuck, I was like, all right, whatever. But when I saw that Monroe Mills went in the portal,
dude, I remember we were talking about in Discord, like, could you imagine? And at the time, 1-3 had Mills ranked as like, or on 3, sorry, they had him ranked at the time as like their 8th best player in the portal.
Yeah.
It was early.
Yeah.
And we were like,
And
no
we're-
shot. And somebody hopped in the cord and was like, Monroe Mills is visiting this weekend. And I was like, holy shit. Like that's
and I was like, I didn't want Tyler Shuck at the time, like, because he was hurt all the damn time. But when there was a possibility we get him and Mills together, and that was a selling point, I was like, it made it worth it for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, Mills, he might not be an NFL, high. He's not going to be like a day 2 pick. He might not. I think he's got 2 years eligibility. There's a pretty decent chance he uses both of those here.
shit, if he uses both, that'll be fun.
He's so good. So like on this, his 1-3 rating after the spring portal, a lot of people entered. He ended up at 54th overall and the 5th offensive tackle on 1-3. The other sites hated him, had him as like a very low 3-star.
Because he went to Texas Tech. If he would have went to Bama, he would have been a 5-star.
Oh, yeah, 247. If he went to Bama, he probably would have been top 10, top 15.
For sure.
But it is what it is. He was honorable mention All Big 12 last year. Again, he's not. From what I can tell you, he's just damn good, very, very good. He's not the kind of guy that might pop off on the screen. You might not watch a game and think, Mills had 8 pancake blocks this game, but he's not going to give up a lot of sacks. He's given up. He gave up 2 sacks last year, and I think in his career he's only given up 5.
Well, you're speaking to Macro's heart right now because he loves talking about dominant O-line and D-line. So, Macro, this shit's all up your alley, man.
We're going to have
up your alley.
Top 5 D-line unit in the ACC, and I think we can have a top 5 offensive line unit. I love Gonzalez. I know, again, Hudson, Connor, close your ears. Mute my mic, whatever you got to do. Hudson he won the Jacobs Trophy last year.
Michael Gonzalez should have won.
Gonzalez was better. Gonzalez was our best offensive lineman last year, especially now that he's playing his natural position at guard. He was easily the best lineman we had. You take him, you take Mills, you take Nigra. It's a good base, and then you just got to figure out the other 2 spots.
Then you have Renato coming back off an injury.
Yeah,
Renato's a guy who's he either peaked very early or he's kind of hit a wall. I'm not sure.
Sat had him playing at tackle. That was the problem.
The problem is that I've always thought he was a guard too, but even playing guard the last couple of years, he's not bad. He's an above, or he's an average or slightly above average offensive lineman. I thought he'd be better.
Did Robinson's still here, isn't he?
Lance is still here. There was a rumor that he was transferring.
It was him, Cutler, Gonzalez, and somebody else.
I think the guard spot opposite of Gonzalez will be either Robinson or Renato. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing Mendoza if he does play. I have no idea on Mendoza. It's hard to find film on Yale. He's a big motherfucker, but he's soft.
Just watch the Harvard games.
I wasn't very, very high on Mendoza.
Everything I've seen is that he's soft. It's all in the hair. You can tell.
So, Trace says he wasn't high on Mendoza. So, Trace, my question when it comes to Mills, where do you see him? You see him as like a leader on the offensive line? Like, do you believe what Trent's saying, that you think he's the best tackle we've had in years, or what do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd agree. We're not really known for being an offensive tackle factory. So
who's the next one that comes to mind? Alex Cupper.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a fair assessment. He's really good. So I mean, even if he's like, if you want to say Becton's the best technically because he was a 1st-round pick and
Jermon Brown,
all that stuff. Yeah, he's got a fair point when he says that he thinks that Mills is going to be the best one out of all of them. I would like to see him be a little bit better of a run blocker just because Braum has shifted his offense to where he's running the football a whole lot more than he did at Purdue. And I don't think that's just a 1-year thing. I think that trend is going to continue because it was very obvious that he was really wanting to get more running backs in the portal.
Mhm.
I don't think that he would have went out and attempted to add a top 5 running back in the portal and then turn around and add a running back for Miami on top of it if he wasn't trying to run the football again.
Oh, for sure.
So
Penny Boone just, didn't want to make it here.
Fuck
Yeah.
Penny Boone.
Yeah, we
Another
all.
thing I'll add with where it says he had 15 pressures and 6 penalties. A lot of Texas Tech fans were like, thank God he's leaving because he's a penalty machine. He had 3 in one game against Oregon.
Mhm.
Like they based that off of everything.
and Oregon has an SEC defensive line. So
I was about to say, like, was that last year Oregon or 2-3 years? Because I'm like, he could have been playing against Thibodeau.
I think it was last year. Another thing to point out too is that it's good to know your quarterback when you play offensive line. If your quarterback's going to run, you got to know. He's played with several quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Mainly because of Show or Shuck. I read Show every time.
You and Show.
Yes, I got a Shelby County education. Madden Sanker, he will probably be in the 2 deep this year, and then hopefully in a good spot to start next year. Saw that from Macro down there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too. And then Macro asked it before I could. So where did Trace, Trent, where do you all see Sanker this year?
just wish he was a little taller.
Yeah, he's not 6'5". You see him listed at 6'5", he'd be lucky to be 6'2".
He's like 6'2", maybe.
Yeah, he's maybe 6'2".
Ideally, he's a center. But I think the way that this roster shaped out, unless he's a starting center next year, he's going to probably play guard.
I think we're like deep
I'm
on
going to
the
take time.
side, so we're not going to see as much on him or from him. Because we got Pete, we got Lance, we got Michael, we got Collins.
Collins is a solid backup guard.
Yeah. And I honestly think it's possible that you move him to the other side of the ball and let him play nose.
Is Joshua Black still here?
No, he transferred. Yeah,
I was about to say, if he's still here, we got like 6 people on the inside of the line. But
there's a reason that we got Madden. Like I know we fought off other, but there's a reason why Georgia didn't take him. He's not a prototypical sized offensive lineman.
He's definitely not an SEC
great. If you think again, we're going back to Kentucky, but Drake Jackson was a 6'1" center.
Yeah,
he was a bad man. He was good.
Yeah, he's really good.
He was a bad motherfucker in 9th grade.
Look, I don't know. You played against him, I know. But
yeah. Sounds like we. I saw Anthony says seems like we're in pretty good shape on both lines. I think I would agree. And Trent, I rely on Trent a lot for my offensive line takes because he just knows so much about the offensive line game and nothing but good things so far from the offensive line guys. And he's very, very big on Monroe Mills.
The only thing that is concerning is right tackle.
Okay.
I don't know who we put there.
Yeah, because Renato
options.
Nato's played so much ball there, but he is obviously a guard, in my opinion.
Lance Robinson's only like 6'3".
Yeah,
he played a fuck ton of tackle at Houston.
Do you
he didn't look nearly as good at Houston as I know it was one game for us, but that bowl game, he looked like a stud.
Solid
at guard. Going
against Barry Alexander.
I would not even think about playing him at tackle. To me, he looks like a guard.
And then you got Mendoza. He's a big dude, but there's not a lot to go by. But I'm not.
Who played tackle in the spring game?
Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza.
And I don't even know who's behind him. Rasheed Miller is a big dude.
Yeah,
he's transferred from Georgia Southern, I think.
But he's like
I like Rasheed Miller's tape.
He's legit 6'7", 6'8" as well. He's a big dude.
He used to put weight on, a lot.
But he's not a very big guy. Honestly, Trevante Sylvester.
Our tight end.
He's the one who caught the tight end, the catch against Miami last year.
Yeah.
He got a lot of hype in the spring on the offensive line, and Jody, everyone loves Jody, was saying that he'd be surprised if he wasn't a starter. But he played last year at like 270.
Yeah.
There's no way
they're saying that he's extremely fast and he's got really good hands.
And that's a long way. 87, didn't he?
Yeah, he wore 87.
But I would be more surprised I'd be less surprised if they moved him to tight end full time and had him as a 6 offensive lineman type deal and someone who can go out and make catches and just
for sure.
Than I would be seeing him starting on the offensive line.
I will say,
but it's not bad, but it's not great.
Like you said, there's options. I will say it sounds like we have good quality depth. Like there might not be any studs at certain spots, but there's good quality depth to where you have options. You could put guys in different places, things like that.
Another guy, we talked about Madden. Sorry, I'll leave it.
No. Go ahead.
Talk about Madden as a young person, but I think maybe the most intriguing young lineman we have is, I don't know if it's Joe or Joey, but Crocker.
Okay.
He was a freshman last
from
year.
Mississippi, isn't it?
Yeah, he was I think he was a Mississippi State commitment for a time, but I know like us, Kentucky, we went after him before he committed. He decommitted late, and we scooped him up. He's legit 6'6". He's a big dude. I know there's a guy on the Discord who's very close to the football team, said that he got high praise last year and was the favorite freshman last year.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I think could play guard or tackle. He's not a left tackle, but it's another young name to keep an eye on.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to get into my personal favorite of all the transfers, and it's Colin Lacey, the receiver out of South Alabama, I believe. And I think, Trace, this is you.
Yep. Yeah, so Colin Lacey, I know people like Connor, who watched the spring game, didn't come away very impressed, but I don't look too much into that. I like to
Wasn't
look
he
at
hurt too?
I think he was dealing with a little bang-up injury.
Thrash didn't do anything in the spring game last year.
Yeah.
It didn't look like they were really going out of their way, though, to try to showcase him either. So,
yeah.
Like, obviously with the Chris Bell bubble screen right from the get-go, I mean, that seemed like that was, I wouldn't say scripted touchdown, but that was definitely
That's what I called it when it happened.
Let's get the ball to Bell and let's see if he can do something to make himself feel good. But I think Lacey is probably going to be wide receiver 1 next year, barring injury or anything like that. Like I said, I know some people weren't impressed with the spring game, but when you watch the highlights, you will be impressed. He's got good speed. He's not 6 foot, but he's got good size. So what I mean by that is he's not small. He's not skinny. He doesn't get beat up at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't get beat up at the point of attack when the ball is in the air. He doesn't get moved off position. He's strong in the air. He can high point the ball at 5'10". I don't know exactly who I would comp him to, especially a former U of L player. I don't think we've had too many guys like him.
I've
where
got
you can
one,
just say,
but
this is one of one comparison.
It's kind of egregious.
Do what?
Baby Jalen Waddle.
Well,
He
he
was
was saying
didn't play here.
He's not. There's a play in the highlights that screamed Jalen Waddle to me. He comes across the center. He jumps in mid to front end zone, high points the ball and brings it down. It's the second or third play in the highlights that we're going to watch.
Well, listen,
I felt very Jalen Waddle-esque.
I don't have a problem with you comparing him to Jalen Waddle, but Jalen Waddle didn't play here, so that's what Trace is saying.
Oh, yeah,
he said.
I'm
But
a
no.
real player that I know of. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head where it's like one-on-one comparison, like, this is Jalen Smith, or this. I can't do that with Colin Lacey. I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure that we've had it.
Seth Dawkins, Jesus Christ, don't.
Let's move on to the transfer rankings. So, Trace, take it away.
Actually, you know what? He's Jimmy Callaway that knows how to run north and south.
Okay.
Jimmy Callaway that doesn't run a 5'2".
Hey, look, listen, Jimmy Callaway might be the most talented wide receiver on the team.
You know what? Everybody hates on Callaway, man. He is talented for real.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
Sure.
he's very talented.
As a true
If he
sophomore,
could just run north and south instead of east and west.
Yes.
As a true sophomore, they thought he
I
was
still
going
think he's trying to get in the end zone against Virginia Tech.
No, that's Thompson.
No, you were thinking of Jaden Thompson.
Connor, get
That's
out
Thompson.
of here.
Oh my goodness.
And Thompson is still, if you listen closely, if you look over out at the stadium, like he's still running against Virginia Tech right now.
Kick
But
return for a
anyways.
touchdown is all I'm gonna say. But
Well,
hey,
go ahead.
If there is one Jaden Thompson defender on this earth, it's me.
And I think
There you
Thompson
go.
is like 80%.
If there's none, that means I'm dead.
All right, this is derailing. Let's get to the stats and PFF grades for Lacey.
Yeah, so with Lacey, as you see here, his drop rate isn't perfect, neither is his fumble rate, but he doesn't do it often enough where I would say it's an issue. He just has done it before. So it's not like it's something that he's not like he's Larry Fitzgerald where he doesn't drop the ball, he doesn't fumble. He will do those things. It's just not at a high rate. You're not going to have to worry about him constantly screwing us over because he's not catching balls or like I'm trying to think of was it James Quick that dropped a lot of balls?
Jalen Smith.
Yes. Both.
No,
both,
James.
really.
I will defend James Quick.
James Quick had quite a few drops.
Listen. First of all, if the Clemson thing didn't happen, we'd all think of him better.
I don't even really like think of it like that.
If the Clemson thing happened, Bobby Petrino wouldn't have got fired the next year. We could have went to the playoff that year, or even, you never know with Lamar. And Bobby would have got a year of grace because of it. So all things happen for a reason. So we had Satterfield who put everything together, put everything in place, did what he did, midfield, whatever.
Don't bring
set
up
the
Satterfield
recruiting and all that. And now we have what we have now.
Tyler's about to just start.
Let's before we were here all night. We'll be here all night if we get into Satterfield because I can't stand Scott Satterfield. But anyways, so the numbers look good. Okay, I am dying to get to these highlights. I love Colin Lacey. I want to get into the highlights. Connor, Trent, give me your final take, and then we'll get into some highlights.
I would be surprised if he's not wide receiver 1.
Okay.
At minimum, I would imagine that he would probably, like, if I was hedging my bets, I would say Brooks would be my betting favorite to have the most touchdowns on the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey would probably be my favorite to have the most yards and receptions. And then I think Bell is kind of in the middle of both. Bell might have more touchdowns than Lacey. He might have less receiving yards than Lacey, but more receiving yards than Brooks. He's kind of where Lacey's definitely like a slot guy. You get him out there, you make plays. He can make plays across the middle. He can make shallow plays. He can make plays out of the backfield. He can beat you deep. He can do everything. A guy like Bell can do everything, but he can't do it consistently. Sometimes you just need him to be a possession receiver. Sometimes you can get him out on a jet sweep maybe and make plays like that, but we don't know how consistent he can be.
Mm-hmm.
Then a guy like Brooks is more of a possession receiver, even though he can beat you over top. So I think it's a very good mix, but I would say Lacey would be the favorite to lead the team in yards for sure.
Connor?
He trains with Ja'Cory.
Oh, come on, dude. That's all you got to say. We've already been over this, man.
Just listen. You like his route running?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I mean, that's what they work on off season. All they do is work on route running. So
some hard-hitting analysis from
Connor's a man of few words. I went to the Ross School of Conversation. So
yeah. I really would say, though, out of everything with this guy, even though he's 5'10", his ability to high point the ball, I think is
okay.
I mean, he might be, if it wasn't for Brooks, he would have an argument at being the best at high pointing the ball on the team.
Well, we know Chris Bell doesn't fucking do it.
Louisville Go-Kart says just tuned in, and Trent said Satterfield put it all together. No wonder he loves LeBron.
Satterfield was mid as hell. Satterfield was very mid, but you cannot deny that Satterfield put together the recruiting ties, the recruiting room, the recruiting budget. He put all of that in place.
Recruiting budget's ass, Trent.
Listen, we only have 3 people in the room, but he put the things in place so Brom could come in and hit the ground running. I think that's undeniable. Sat was very mid. Sat lowered the bar. Sat did zone to the short end of the field so many times.
I will give Scott Satterfield 0 credit on anything. Fuck Scott Satterfield. All right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
But he gave us a better foundation than Bobby did.
He left it better than he found it. That's all I have to say.
He left it better than what he got it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Roster management,
I think,
in my opinion,
if Brom took the job instead of Sat back then, he would have had to work harder, and he would have been in a worse shape than he was when he took it this time. That's the only thing I'm saying. He laid the foundation. He did not pass down the keys per se.
Yeah. All right, I've been dying to watch these highlights all day. Like I said, I'm a huge Colin Lacey fan. This is my guy out of this class. I just want to see it.
Like, he's not
flicker on the first play.
Moore, but I think of all the Brom receivers, that's probably who he's most in the mold of. is probably like I said, Rondale Moore. He's not.
Okay.
This is the catch right here. That
Damn.
one is the Waddle-esque one that I was referring to.
That was nice. He does high point it pretty well for a small guy.
I wouldn't
big
even
thing
say
with-
for a small guy. He high points it well. I mean,
Yeah.
For a small guy, yeah.
he said he doesn't really get knocked out of position or anything like that. I mean, you don't have to worry like with Tutu. You have to worry about a DB getting their hands on him and driving him into the dirt.
Look at that stop and go.
I was
in
gonna
the
say,
middle.
so-
about a strong gust of wind.
So Jamari Thrash, we all know 8 on this last year. I could already see it now. Just the short drag route over the middle and just take off.
Yep. And he's faster than Thrash too. So
The playing the second quarter against Murray State where I thought it got picked off and then Jamari just goes to the house.
yep. And I don't think he's as good of a route runner as Jamari, but
No, Jamari had some nasty routes. Jamari won on the line of scrimmage so often just because of his footwork.
But
Yeah,
South
his release was
Alabama
great.
runs kind of the same offense we do. They're like, as you can see, they're running spread. They're
Dual
running
routes.
Who the
RPO.
hell's this quarterback? This dude's slinging it.
They had, 93 receptions this
Bro.
year? That's a lot.
yeah, he had.
Who's
he had a
their
good stat
quarterback?
line. And I
Damn,
think
that
they
was a
threw
nice
it all over the place too. I don't think they threw it to just him. I mean, obviously he got a bulk of the catches, but I think it was. I think the love was spread all over the place.
What did Chris Mack say?
What about Chris Mack? What?
Throw the bomb? Wasn't that the
Why are
Throw
we
the
talking
bomb.
about
Throw-
quarterbacks or not quarterbacks, coaches?
Yeah.
Chris Mack's the coolest coach in college basketball. What do you mean?
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. Hey, listen, I just want to know who South Alabama's quarterback is. This dude is slinging it.
Maybe
Tyler's gonna get off
that's
here to
Tyler's
look up
show.
South
We had
Alabama
Tyler's show.
quarterback.
Yeah, they have Tyler Show.
Play catch all fucking game.
Yep.
He looks so shifty and like a good natural runner.
Yep.
And the thing about wide
He's probably
receivers,
a track guy.
one of the biggest things with wide receivers that you can see just off highlights, whatever, do they catch the ball with their hands? Do they catch the ball with their body? He
Yeah.
catches the ball with his hands. That's something you can't. I mean, you can teach it, but that's a trait that a lot of guys have a hard habit of learning if they don't do it naturally.
I mean, honestly, he like I said it after we played USC. We don't need quote unquote football guys. We need track guys that can catch a football and burn a DB.
That was
And I
definitely a
think-
problem.
And I think Lacey can do that. Like you watched
Well,
him
yeah.
just burn DBs across the middle and go right up the sideline.
Yeah, like I said, we couldn't take the top off of a defense last year. I mean, we had a good offense, but it wasn't a extremely explosive offense. It was we're going to get 200 rushing yards on you, and we're going to get 200 passing yards, and we'll probably have 3 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing touchdown. This year, though, we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have Redmond, we're going to have Skinner, and then we're going to have – those are going to be lined up on the inside, and then you're going to have guys like Lacey and Brooks on the outside. Brooks isn't a burner, but he knows how to beat guys on the outside.
Yeah,
So-
the offense for sure is going to be so much more versatile than it was last year.
It's going to be less. I think we're going to be running the ball less this year than we did last year.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's probably obvious, but we don't have 2 guys that are going in the draft this year.
Well, yeah, the thing about this offense, like, forget the wide receivers. I think the wide receiver room is comparable to last year, give or take.
It's scary. It's scary.
The running back room is downgraded, obviously, to 2 NFL guys. I mean,
And losing Penny Boone, I don't think that really helped.
no. But I mean, the running back room isn't missing talent, but it's definitely not what it was last year. But it still can be good. But the addition to the tight end room is what's going to open this offense up so much. I mean, I'm a big believer in, and I just forgot his name. Someone help me. Our tight end from last year.
are you talking about
Kuriski.
Kuriski?
Risky.
I like Kuriski. I think he did a really good job. I think he's probably still maybe the best blocking tight end on the roster. Not named Dwayne Martin, who's really kind of a fullback now anyway.
Yeah.
But
Love Dwayne Martin.
Jamari Johnson's the best tight end blocker on the team.
that man is thick
With 2 C's.
with 4 C's, brother. What are you talking about?
Did you see him in the spring game? they had him block, and he absolutely.
Oh, he cannot block a soul. He blocks
Like
like a 5'4" quarterback. He cannot block. He's out there to make plays and to look good while he's doing it.
That's what I said during his recruitment. People were like, "What if he goes to Alabama and plays offensive line?"
A lot of people thought he'd be
as a quarterback. He is not going to play offensive line at Alabama.
He can't block. Like
that you got to have.
They just thought he would continue to grow.
California is not going to have.
So Josh asks, would you all say the staff trusts the ability of Bell Brooks, considering they didn't get a wide receiver from the post-spring game window?
I think they wanted to add a wide receiver and would have.
They definitely did.
Found one.
Yeah.
Others talk about like Amari Huggins-Burge coming back, which I was never the biggest fan of, but I'm a big Bell believer. I mean, I've already said it a few times.
I thought Chris Bell was
trust me, we know that you are a big Bell believer.
I think the top three of Lacey, Bell, and Brooks, as long as they stay healthy and they're there, that's a very good starting three. Behind them, there's questions. I think Thompson was hurt a lot last year. And he talked about it too. He was hurt a lot. Actually, Bell and Thompson both talked about being hurt. Bell said that at the start of the season, he had a hamstring injury, came off the hamstring injury, had a shoulder injury, played through it, and then had a second hamstring injury. I think
Thompson runs like he has two hamstring injuries, I think.
Thompson runs like he doesn't have any hamstrings.
He kind of does.
Donald Chaney is going to be probably RB2 with the ability to become RB1 this year. And he's probably, even though Turner's back there, he might be the fastest running back on the team.
So wait, you say Chaney is running back 2. Who do you think's running back 1?
Probably
Turner?
To start. Turner's just a bit of a tweener for me. Like he's not a running back. Like I'm really bad with names. Who was Satterfield's running back? He was 5'9".
Javian
Hawkins. He's not like Hawkins was for sure a running back, even though he was a little dude. Like to me, Turner's a bit of a tweener. Like I think if Turner, when he got here, they said, "Hey, you're a slot guy." They could have made him one and a good one.
Make him like 2.
He plays running back well. He's got good weight, but I think Chaney's issue is he's got a slight fumbling issue. He had the fumble at the Georgia Tech game where they didn't kneel like idiots last year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the opportunity to be the best complete running back of those two.
Yeah.
And he's very fast.
I think
you got Keon Brown too.
Yeah. Brown's going to be I'm going to run through your motherfucking face running back.
So sorry, I gotta interrupt because this is exactly what I wanted to bring up. Keon Brown in the spring game was fucking awesome. And I love Keon Brown. I hope he ends up being running back 1 because I think he is a stud. His spring game performance was freaking awesome.
He's not
honestly, I've never understood the hype against Mo Turner. Like I really don't.
He was overhyped coming off that big performance against Cincinnati.
I mean,
but he might be a little underrated now.
Mo Turner because Mo Turner's got a good mix of like he's got good size, he's got great speed. I just don't know if the vision's there all the time.
Yep.
Like he'll have a wide open hole and he'll just run into the back of the tackle.
You know,
Trace, what were you going to say about Keon?
Oh, I just said that he's not Marshawn Lynch, obviously, but he's got the same mentality where he's like he does not shy away from. I know a lot of running backs, they don't like to let the hole develop, and a lot of times your offensive line, you got to trust them that they're going to get that gap opened up and that it's going to develop for you, and you just got to be a little patient. And I know a lot of times running backs, they just get, oh shit, that hole's not there, bounce it to the outside. Keon, he will sit there, and it's not Le'Veon Bell like patience.
Oh my god,
patience.
It's not Le'Veon Bell patience, but he definitely trusts his offensive line. He's a running back. He's got running back vision.
He's a freshman too, isn't he?
I went to the spring game, man. Redshirt freshman. He was by far the most impressive player I saw all night long. Like he stood out. Like that's the thing. If you go back and watch tape of all the guys, like you're gonna find things you like, right? But the guy that just to me stood out, like it just stands out, was Keon Brown and how he ran the ball that day. I thought he was awesome.
And he's the last guy of our running backs I want to tackle. If you look at all of them, he's the last one I want to tackle. Because if you don't get low, which it's going to be hard to get lower than him because he's like 5'10". If you don't get low enough, he is he's going to give you CTE.
I feel like I got pre-CTE. I get that.
It's going to be bad.
Look, he's the kind of guy that in a close game, in a tough game, that you can use him sparingly to start, and then when that fourth quarter hits and that defense is tired and they got tired legs,
And it's
they've been
32.
fighting all game. They've been chasing your little skinny, fast running backs up and down the sidelines, and then oh shit, here comes 22, and he's gonna run through a motherfucker's face.
Well, and
That's
listen,
how I
I'm
teach
glad.
a lot of his damage.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that feels this way because I thought maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just glazing him up like crazy. I don't know. I love Keywan Brown. I think he's awesome. It's tough because the running back room has a lot of good talent. I just, as of right now, from what I've seen, I feel like he should be number one. I feel that way. I thought I thought he was that good in the spring game. I like him a lot. So
He could be. I mean, there's not a lot of separation for me between 1 and 3.
I agree.
Guys.
They're all three going to play.
And I think
they're all three to play.
Brown might be the least talented guy in the room, per se.
He's the one that's going to work the hardest.
He's got his effort and his will to get that extra yard. Like, I mean, I know he was extremely talented. Like Garindo was so good. I don't know why we should have played Garindo more. In my
We
opinion,
should have gave Garindo the ball against Pittsburgh and just
maybe Jonathan Taylor, but that's just me.
Or like Isaac Brown. Isaac Brown has got
Isaac Brown's another
Isaac
one.
Brown's got some wheels. He's going to play too.
I
think he's going to return some kicks this year.
He's going to get some touches this year, and I would not be surprised to see him catch a very tired defense lacking and just blow past some people.
Isaac Brown's going to be what we want Turner to be.
I
think Isaac Brown is a real legitimate running back.
I would see Isaac Brown and Colin Lacey back returning kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think you have to have Isaac Brown returning kicks, maybe even punts, because he's way too fast.
No, this is Louisville. We need a linebacker returning punts.
Rajay Burns.
Rajay Burns.
Rajay Burns. Listen, when we lost Penny Boone, a lot of people obviously were upset about it. Like I was too, obviously. But I will say the one thing that I thought was a benefit is the running back room is still really good. It's really talented, and it's going to give more opportunities for Keywan Brown, for Isaac Brown. And I, like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, but that spring game, I was like, man, Keywan Brown looks like a fucking stud. And I'm excited to see him play more.
Like, the more that they play this year, there's a less of a chance that they're going to hit the portal after the season's over.
Yeah, and that's another thing, too. If we kept Boone, Brown's a guy who, I mean, with Boone, Brown's skill set is, I don't want to say redundant, but it is.
Yeah.
Turner does some things that other people don't do. Chaney doesn't, but Boone is the same type of dude. He's going to run through your face, And Boone,
I think Brown's faster.
The way he was.
I think Brown's faster.
Boone wasn't very fast, but he reportedly lost 19 pounds when he got here, so he might have had that speed that not for sure. But Brown is definitely faster than Boone for sure, from what we know from last year. But now that he's not there, like Ty said, the opportunity is definitely there. There's another running back we brought in who was on some sites was our highest rated recruit. I'm trying to think of his name.
Duke Watson.
Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'll definitely redshirt this year, but
the
running back room's looking good.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see. Like, it's not. I don't know that there's any elite talent there, but there's a lot of just good, solid talent.
Running backs are the most injured players in football.
Yeah,
so it's nice to have a stable.
I'd rather have 4 good running backs than 2 elite ones.
Yep. I think also if there's three guys that we didn't, highlight today, but that I think are worth mentioning would be T-Mac, Tamarion McDonald. He's essentially a Ben Perry clone. They play the exact same way. I pulled up their snap shares on PFF, and they played almost the exact amount of snaps together, as an edge defender, as a corner, or as a slot guy, as a linebacker, as a safety. They are it's amazing that you could take Ben Perry off the field. 2 years ago, we were Ben Perry is the kind of defensive player that we don't get around here. He's the kind of guy that these Alabamas would have at linebacker. These hyper athletes, these like Kyle Hamilton type players, now like
isn't that who we comped him to when he first got here?
A little, but well, no, not Kyle Hamilton because I don't think he was Kyle Hamilton. I don't think he was him at that time. I mean, he might have been at Notre Dame, but
it was the linebacker before at Notre Dame.
The one that everybody wanted. I can't think of his name.
It's an abbreviation for his name. I can't remember how to pronounce his whole name.
Oh, I know.
He's
who you're
Cleveland.
talking about. Yeah, Koramora something another.
Yeah,
no,
he was a really, really good coverage linebacker.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember
being able to
what Ben Perry was going to be.
Take Ben Perry off the field and then have a guy who's the same exact player roughly is insane. And I think now that we have lost Wesley
Walker,
who was probably going to be our starting free safety, there's a chance we can see T-Mac slide back to safety as well.
And then have them on the field together.
Yes. And another guy who's worth mentioning, I know I'm going off to another spot real fast, MJ Griffin. He was arguably our best player coming into last year. Having him back, having the 5 corners that we have, along with Griffin, along with the D-line that we have, if the linebackers are just average, our defense is going to be nasty.
Oh, yeah. Having Griffin's back is like we added one of the top safeties in the transfer portal class. I mean, that's almost what it feels like.
Sometimes the ones on your roster are the best ones to get.
He's probably the fastest player on the team, if not top 5.
Wasn't he running like 22 miles an hour before
22 or 23 before he got hurt? Yes. And he led the team. Whatever year that threw that graphic out, he led the team. The other 2 guys,
he's one of the hardest hitters on the team too.
Yes. The other 2 guys that I was going to mention is Skinner. Skinner's all potential, legitimate 6'5". We brought in Isaiah Cummins from UK. I think that was more of a look what we did move more than
that was a middle finger to UK more than anything.
Yeah. He was our Ali Khalifa. But they brought him in to be like an athlete, tight end hybrid, a wide receiver tight end hybrid.
He's going to play the H-back with Dwayne Martin.
Skinner is that dude. Skinner is legitimate, like an H-back. You can line him up in the slot. You can line him up out wide. You can put him in the backfield. Like I said, he can play anywhere. He's legit 6'5". He was committed to Alabama. He's the number 1 tight end in the country for a while before he ended up at Miami. Had a decent freshman year. Last year he was hurt, and then they also had a new offensive coordinator, and I don't think they meshed. He's a guy that in 2 years he could be gone, and we're like, well, we took a shot. Or in 2 years he could be just a nasty, nasty weapon for us.
If he could pick up 15, 20 pounds, he's gonna be ridiculous because that's his thing right now. Is he's skinny, but because I think he's only like 215.
Yeah.
But if he's able to get up to about 230, anywhere between 230, 240.
I think he's 225 roughly right now.
Is he 225 now?
I think so. I think that's what the roster listed him as.
Well, the roster also lists Madden Sanker at 6'5". So
my college roster listed me at 6'7", and there's not a shot in hell. So
6'7".
I believe nothing.
You're 6'7" in your dreams.
Listen, so I'm 6 foot, but when they first did heights, they're like, you're 5'11", and I'm like, in 3/4. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm 6 foot. And after I bitched for a month, they threw me at 6'7" and left it there all year. They thought it was cute. Yeah. But anyway, the third guy that I would say it would be Donald Chaney. A guy who could
had a couple guys ask about Chaney in there.
Easily could be the starting running back by the end of the year or top 2. He's got to make plays. He's going to play game 1. He's going to get snaps for sure.
For sure. Here's what I want to do, guys. I kind of want to start wrapping up because we've been on here damn near 2 hours. Yep. I want to ask one final question. Try to keep it, within a minute. Outlook, it's gonna be tough because we could be here all night, and trust me, there's gonna be nights where I want to in the summer and shit. We're gonna do that. Okay. Give me your outlook for this team. I'm gonna start with Connor. I'm gonna go to Trace and Trent. Keep it a minute. What do you see this team doing with the talent that Brom has acquired? What do you think, Connor?
I think if the defense is as good as we all think it could be, we could. I think 9-3, 10-2 is the floor. Now that also means that Tyler Shuck doesn't get hurt in the 6th game of the year. I think that, like I said, 9-3, 10-2 is where we can be on the high end if we go 11-1, looking into the 10, 11, 12 spot in the playoff.
Trace?
Yeah, so the whole season just kind of depends on Shuck's health, really. I know it's kind of a cop-out, but it's true, in my opinion. If Shuck stays healthy all season, we're looking at 10 wins again. If not, we're probably looking at more like 7, maybe 6. It's going to be – I think the schedule is going to be a little tougher this year. Don't have it right in front of me. But it's
That's what I was trying to think of, too, when I was saying it. I was like, I don't know the schedule off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's going to be – there's no way it can be easier than it was last year.
It's definitely
home games last year.
Yeah.
No, because we got to play Clemson this year. So
I mean, I think there's a very realistic chance that we are a better overall team, but still win 10 games. Okay. And like I said, it just depends on Shuck's health.
I agree. Trent?
Yeah, just piggybacking off that, I think that's a really good way to put it. We're definitely a better overall team on paper now than we were last year, for sure. But the schedule's a lot harder, and there's more variables that are in play. If we lose Shuck in the first 4 or 5 games and it's Pierce Clarkson, and we got to hope that Pierce is
able to see over Mendoza at guard.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to hope that he can be just a game manager at this point in his career. Obviously, I think Pierce. But going off that, I know we got to get out of here. I think he's going to have design run packages this year too. He's going to get the
Pierce Clarkson package,
Evan Conley package. Anyway, but I think the schedule's harder. There's a lot of variables in play. The defense should be better this year, which is saying a lot. It was top 25 in most metrics. I think the floor is probably 8 if everything goes right. And obviously the ceiling is the roof, hosting a playoff game.
Okay, buddy.
I remember that quote. That's from your goat, Michael Jordan.
LeBron James.
Michael Jordan.
LeBron James, right.
Inefficient shot sucker.
So I'm going to wrap this up. I agree with a lot of everything you all said. Just real quick, yes or no? I think the biggest question mark that remains is QB2 because we got to worry about Shuck's health. In my opinion, the biggest question mark is QB2. Who is it? Are they going to be able to handle it? Yes or no, everybody? Round table.
If
Probably.
It's Pierce,
I think that's what limits your floor.
Okay.
I do. Like, he looked good during the spring game, but Pierce looked great in the spring game, but you're playing against your own defense.
It's more so just we just don't know. It's just unseen. It's unproven talent.
The issue with
I think
Pierce
from the demeanor, though, I trust Pierce more.
He's very confident.
Out of everybody, then I haven't heard anything from Brady. I haven't heard anything from Harrison Bailey. But every time
Harrison Bailey looked like shit in the spring game.
Like, I think too.
But every time I see Pierce, he looks like he's ready to be quarterback 1 of a Power 6 program. So, from a confidence standpoint, I would feel better with Pierce than anybody else.
Yeah, he's definitely. He's even talked about it being a very confident player. I think if Pierce ends up being the guy and he's out there, like, I think he's a good short to intermediate passer. He doesn't have a lot of zip on throws. He doesn't have a bad arm, but it's not an elite arm. He's going to get by on accuracy more than he is with arm strength.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy that, like I said, the tight ends are definitely going to flourish if he ends up being the quarterback. And I think we're going to have less plays. Like, a guy like Brooks will suffer.
Yeah.
Suffer with him at quarterback just because he's not going to be able to hit those deep balls as well. Yeah. If it's Bailey has a cannon. Bailey was a 5-star for a reason. Everything's just kind of up here. I think he can take deep shots. He can take the throws, make throws that you want. The issue is for everyone that he is successful with, there's also going to be linebackers pick them off across the middle like you're playing Madden or something. Like,
where there's 3 or 4 that are in the dirt.
Yeah, and then we just know nothing about
Brady Allen.
Brady. On paper, he's perfect quarterback, but
But hasn't the rumor been that Brady's been struggling in
That's
camp?
what they say, that he's been struggling with the playbook.
Everything that I hear that he's struggling, I just, it's one of those things that's like, everything that I hear sounds great. Everything I hear sounds bad. It just depends on what you want your narrative to be.
Who you hear
I
from?
don't, like I was really hoping that Brady Allen would really take that next step. We'll see what happens. I also really love friend of the pod, Deuce Adams. I don't expect much of him, freshman year, nor do I want him to have to feel that kind of pressure just right off the rip. But
Maybe Russell Wilson.
he's very talented, man, very talented. So,
The pod JoJo Stone.
JoJo's another young talented kid. There's a lot of talent, man. There's a lot of talent. This roster is well put together. I think there's not really many holes. There's a lot of strengths. Shuck health. That's what it's going to come down to. So, anyways, we're going to kind of wrap this up. Macro Couch House, all you guys that have been asking for football, how about 2 hours? How about 2 hours of football content for you? This should be enough to kind of hold everybody off for a minute. So
99 more days.
99 more days. I want to thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you. If you like what you see, you like what you hear, like and subscribe. We're on the push to 1,000 subs. We're getting there little by little. So I thank you guys seriously for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Trent. Thank you, Trace, for sacrificing your Friday night to come in here and talk football with us. Thank you, Connor, as well. This has been a lot of fun the last 2 hours. I've had a blast. And that's about it. So I'm just going to wrap it up with the Go Cards. Grow Krogering.